It's Powerback time on the Gutsy Podcast. Each week we bring you 5 minutes of condensed inspiration to reclaim the courage and momentum you've given away. You've got big things to do, so let's get your power back. On this week's Powerback, we are going to talk about the power of asking questions versus feeling completely caught up in your head wondering what the heck you're doing. There is this thought and feeling and process that we often create within ourselves that we feel like if we have to ask questions that we are going to be perceived as though we are not smart enough, good enough, or ready enough to do the things that we are doing. You see, there's this negative stereotype that comes along with asking questions that makes people feel like asking a question is a weakness, when in reality, it's one of the greatest opportunities that we have. When you open yourself up and ask questions, you find answers, which get you to the results much faster. Or sometimes it just contributes to your learning process and can even prevent you from making some mistakes. But no, we get all caught up in our head and we would rather go through the notions of figuring out ourselves because heaven knows everyone else on the planet has done everything else alone themselves too. Right. That the people that we idolize or the folks that we look up to, some of our mentors, some just really strong people that we think have it all together, we forget that they've had help along the way. And they had to learn to get to where they are just as much as you're learning to get where you're going right now too. And that means being willing to open yourself up to say, I simply don't know. Can you help me? See, why sit in the mud and spin your wheels when you can call and ask a friend to come help tow you out? And this isn't relying on them to do it for you. It's opening yourself up to be receptive to new information to help you do something differently, or to learn something new, or to learn a new method. Because how many times have you sat with yourself so frustrated because you've tried to learn a new program, or you don't understand how something works, or you just need some insight on how to handle an obstacle in business? The immediate perception may be, no one else has gone through this and they're all way smarter than me, so I should just figure it out on my own. We don't want to hurt our pride or our reputation, but we're willing to sacrifice hours, if not days or weeks of our time, trying to figure it out ourselves over learning it more quickly and efficiently to get the job done so we can just move on to the next thing. In reality, what are you risking by asking for help? Versus what is your perceived risk for asking? What do you fear is going to happen if you ask for help or admit that you don't know how to do something and you need help? For instance, websites are one of our core services, right? But I am not the web person by any means. But the other day I thought I got real fancy because I was able to log into our website and create a form where you guys can enter your information to be on the podcast. That was something I knew how to do. And then my eyes started to glaze over when I realized that it needed styled and it needed a page and all these other things that are above my head. So I could have spent the next few hours trying to figure it out myself. Or what I did was I went to my team the next day, who happens to be brilliant at building out websites. And I said, hey, Tyler, I got fancy and I built a form, but I don't know what to do with it. Can you please help me? See, as business owners, we often think that if we have to ask our team or admit that we don't know how to do something to our team, that they're going to think of us differently. When in reality, when I asked him to do this, he lit up because he gets to do something that he loves. And I felt relieved because I didn't have to try and figure it out and waste time. It was a complete win-win situation for everyone involved. We're also often worried that we're going to ask a question that sounds stupid to someone else, as if we should already know all the answers to everything on the planet. I can't tell you how many times I have been in an audience or at a conference or somewhere where someone is brave and is the one that stands up and asks that one question that you know everyone is thinking about, but no one wants to stand up and ask it. And as soon as the audience hears that question being asked, when the answer starts to be delivered, people start writing profusely. There is no such thing as a stupid question, only ridiculous reasons that we create in our heads for why we shouldn't ask in the first place. I want you to take your power back by asking someone for help in an area that you have been struggling in. And this could be anything. It could be a challenge that you're facing in your business, maybe a project that you started that you don't know how to finish. Maybe it's a new program or software that you want to use, but you just feel completely hung up on it. Or maybe it's something personal, an emotion that you could just really rely on a trusted source to talk about. There's a quote that says, if you are the smartest person in the room, then you're in the wrong room. And I really believe in that. Because if I were perfect at all the things that my team does, then I wouldn't need a team. And that kind of defeats the purpose. I love to surround myself with people that are smarter, better, more amazing at the things that they do best so that I can do what I do best as well. I also want you to think about your trusted sources. These are the particular people that you can rely on to chat with intelligently about the challenges that you're experiencing. For instance, your mom probably isn't the best person to rely on to talk about the webinar course problems that you're having. As you're thinking about what particular problems and obstacles you're having, think about the best person who can get you to the solution fastest with the best knowledge. Asking for help is honestly a huge sign of growth and strength. It tells the world that you don't have to do this alone and you're willing to invite trusted people in to help you along your journey. Not only are you going to grow, but you're going to enhance someone else's life by saying, yes, your skills and knowledge and abilities are important and they will impact my life as well. Next week on the Gutsy Podcast, we are talking all about that very first super scary step of hiring your first employee, what some of the signs are to know when to do it, and some processes on how to. Until then, follow the Gutsy Podcast on Facebook and Instagram, and for more business insights and some ridiculous things, follow me on Instagram at @ThatLauraAura. See you next time.